prosecution's attempt to misconstrue Jennifer's entire demeanor is a reasonable doubt in this case to show they don't have a strong case. They keep saying she's not sad. Jennifer explained she went into what can I do mode. She did show sadness if you read the texts between her and Mr. Milosh. She showed sadness in the way that she shows sadness. And for these officers to get up on the stand and say she didn't behave like the mother of a school shooter should behave is nonsense. None of them have ever dealt with the mother of a teenager who has just killed people and shot many others. There isn't a right way in any handbook to say how you should or should not behave. Trying to make her look selfish and callous goes right with that same thing. How she reacts is how she reacts. You see it on the screen. It's really hard to pass judgment, although these police officers did, on how a person should react when for the first time in their lives they walk out of their house and are surrounded with guns in their face. Or how a person would react to be woken up in the middle of the night on a mattress with police around them and above them with guns in her face. So not only has anyone not been in the shoes of a school shooter and dealing with the kind of emotions that would come with that, they also don't know, and there isn't a standard reaction for how you behave when you're surrounded with guns in your face. Jennifer's own statement provides reasonable doubt that she didn't think he would hurt other people. She typed to him, "Ethan, don't do it." She didn't say, "Don't shoot people." She didn't say, "Don't hurt anyone." She thought the only thing on her radar that could be possible at that point, knowing there's an open shooter and he has a weapon, was that he would kill himself. Reasonable doubt can be found in Jennifer's testimony. Jennifer's testimony is evidence, and at the end of the day, whether you believe, like, hate, however you feel about her testimony, the defense didn't have to prove anything. You still have to evaluate the prosecution's case for what it was. However, Jennifer Crumbley did take the stand, and that was not easy for her, to give you additional context about what was going on in the shreds of evidence the prosecution cherry-picked and put before you. The only person who's actually been consistent in this case, and you can find reasonable doubt from this, is Jennifer. She's consistent in what she says to police, what she says to her husband about things, and what she says to other witnesses who testified. You can find reasonable doubt in the fact that the police officers are very, very biased in this case. There is no doubt this is one of the most awful situations any one of them have ever been involved in. But it's also very clear they have a narrative that Jennifer Crumbley is responsible, and when they came in here and took that witness stand, they were going to mess with me on questions that were so stupid. Like this ATF agent telling me he doesn't know if teenagers could lie. Everyone in the room knows a teenager could lie. That was a low ball. Just answer the question. When you have an ATF agent that can't even get on the stand and answer a question that's common sense, that should speak volumes. That there's a narrative they've been directed to get out, and they have an agenda. And that agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is not positive for Jennifer Crumbley. Making this big deal about money and cash that Mrs. Crumbley took out is another reasonable doubt in this case. Mrs. Crumbley explained her dad had accounts frozen. She didn't want her accounts to be frozen. Her dad put money in that day so she could take it out. Getting money out of the account that had her son's name on it wasn't done in any way to steal money from her son or show she doesn't care about him. She's the one that contributes every week from her paycheck into that account. And at the end of the day, she wants cash because everyone in the world absolutely hates her. She can't walk in places and hand them a credit card. Hey, Jennifer Crumbley's on that credit card. The only option she had was cash. She can't go in and start showing identification and things to get hotel rooms, and the more cash she can use, the better. The less she has to risk that people are going to figure out who she is. And remember, the world was essentially showing its colors against her as she was receiving threatening messages in the days that followed that shooting. On Facebook, from other people, in her emails, in her Instagram, everywhere. They're so threatening, her employer is making her shut down accounts. Her friends, people that have been her people for years, don't want anything to do with her and don't want to be by her because she's that dangerous at that point in time. So for her to want to have cash makes absolute perfect sense. That's not a sign she's trying to flee. And also, if you're trying to flee, you don't go around local Oakland County and areas surrounding it and carry around a syringe of horse medicine. If you're going to flee, you abort mission on the horses. At that point, you're fleeing. It's very obvious Jennifer Crumbley, her intent was not to flee. Her intent is to stay safe. Her intent is to avoid threats. Her intent is to get this horse medicine to this horse, which obviously can't happen if she flees. It's clear when she's at the art studio that she's not hidden very well. She's outside smoking. Her husband's outside smoking. We saw the evidence of the cigarette butts in the snow. There's commercial buildings around and businesses within that studio. She's walking around taking a tour of the studio with her friend who owns it, and there's cameras all over the building. Obviously, she's not trying to hide if she's going into a building where you can see security cameras right on the outside that would document everything that's happening that we ultimately got to see in this trial. It's clear she's trying to stay the night in Detroit on November 3rd and didn't know where to go. It's clear from the video she's dead asleep at 1 o'clock in the morning when they're ultimately found and woken up to guns in their face. She testified she took 4 Xanax, and so did her husband. We also saw evidence there was a liquor bottle in the garbage, and presumably she had a drink. After 4 days of no sleep and not really eating, one can only imagine how hard 4 Xanax and a cocktail might hit you. So they make this big deal that there's text messages after 11 o'clock saying we might have been found. Well, earlier in those text messages that were admitted by the prosecution as Exhibit 430, the first text says, Marielle, this is Jennifer's phone. And Marielle was the other attorney at the time. Marielle, this is Jennifer's phone. James and Jennifer are using Jennifer's phone now. Next message. The other phone broke. And then there's a message to the Crumbleys, when you can, we'd like for you to call us. That's at 6:19. Then at 6:21, thank you, Shannon's calling you both shortly. Then at 7:02, I text, Marielle and I are going to come get you in the morning. We do not think it will help to make a statement that you're coming in or that it will be tomorrow morning. All we can say, as we've told everyone, is that you're coming back, and as of tomorrow, you'll be back. My next message says, we can show them that everything we've said was going to happen did happen. Because the Crumbleys weren't running. They just wanted to turn themselves in to a court. And law enforcement got on the stand and told you that's something people commonly do. It just didn't happen in this case.